Welcome to another lesson of Adobe Photoshop. In this lesson, we are going to learn about a t-shirt design which we are going to make by using the tools of Adobe Photoshop. Well, there are a couple of methods of how you will be able to do that. Well, you can also use Adobe Lightroom or let's say Adobe Illustrator, but I'm going to use Adobe Photoshop because Adobe Photoshop is quite beginner friendly, and if you have some basic ideas of how you'll be able to work in Adobe Photoshop and about the interface and about the tools, then you already know how to do that. Okay, so without any further ado, let's just jump into the lesson where we are going to make a car t-shirt design or even make some designs on our own. So first off, what we're gonna do is open up Adobe Photoshop and make sure to use the newest version of Adobe Photoshop because it contains a lot of bug fixes from the previous or the older versions, and also contains a lot of newer tools. Because if you use like a previous version or an older version, you might see that you are following a couple of the steps which I'm doing in this video, but you are not going to find those tools. So make sure to use the newest version. So today I'm using Adobe Photoshop 2023, and also make sure to stay subscribed to the plans of Adobe Photoshop to get most of its, outputs and most of its functionality. First up, what we're going to do is open up Adobe Photoshop. You can use whichever print or whichever, like size or quality or resolution you want. But from here, what I'm going to do is going to be selecting or making up my own size. So first off, I'm going to do is type on here. Let's say this is going to be car design. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to select it to be inches because I prefer it to be worked on inches, but you can use whichever one you want. You just have to calculate or you just have to measure it and then use them. As I have more ideas about inches, so I'm going to use is keep inches. From here, I'm going to do is type in 6. Now I want to keep the height to be 9 and keep the orientation to be portrait, but if you want it to be landscape, that's also usable. So for here, let's just use this landscape, and you can use artboards too if you want to, but as I don't want any artboards, so I'm not going to click on it. Keep the resolution around 250 to 300 so to get like a perfect type of result. You can also increase it if you want to, but that's going to take up a lot of space in your PC. Then you can select on pixel per inches. You can also select pixel per centimeter, but I'm going to suggest you to use pixel per inches, which is more preferable for me. Now I'm going to do is select on the color mode to be RGB, but you can also select CMYK and lap color. That's totally up to you. Now from here, you can select the bits of the color if you want it to be more dense, and obviously we have 16-bit and 32-bit, but if you have a mid-range PC, you can use 16-bit or 8-bit, but if you have a higher end PC, then you can go over to 32-bit and 16-bit, okay, very easily. So I'm going to use 8-bit over here, which is easily doable in all devices. Click on the background to be white or whichever color you want, Adobe RGB, but from here I'm going to do is select on sRGB IEC6, okay, which I most of the time prefer, and also on default you can select it to be square pixel. Now from there I'm going to click on create, and that size of artboard or that size of document will be created on Adobe Photoshop. Next thing what we're gonna do is going to be opening up a couple of resources that we are going to need for the design of the t-shirt. At the end of this lesson, I'm going to show you how you will be able to mock it up to a t-shirt, but before that, let's just start off by making our design. First off, what I'm going to do is click on file and open up the resource or the photo which I'm going to need. As I have my photos on download, I'm going to use this one. You can see this photo has been placed or progressed in Adobe Photoshop. But what we're going to do is going to be copying the car and then paste it over there so that I can make some edits on this newer layer. So I'm going to do is select on the select tool, and I'm going to do is select the parts which I need. I'm going to increase the size. I'm going to do is select the parts. You can see that I'm selecting the parts. You can see all the parts have been selected. I'm going to do is gently rub it over or drag it over the areas which I'm going to need. You can see all the parts has been selected. You can also use the shadow if you want to. So I'm going to do is use the shadow for this video, for this lesson. I'm going to do is take this part too, which is the windshield. I'm going to do is select this area. And I'm going to do is zoom in and select the parts which I didn't select. You can see all the parts have not been selected. You can see all of them have selected. What I'm going to do is go over to the left side and select this area. What I'm going to do is reduce the brush size so that I can select these areas too. Click on it. I'm going to do is reduce the brush size and select on the area which I want. From here, I'm going to do is select these areas too, which is like this. And I'm going to go over here and find out a couple more of areas which I want to use. And I can also like deselect the areas which you don't need. So I'm going to do select these areas first. Later on, if I don't want a couple of parts, I can remove those parts too. Now I'm going to start removing a couple of parts. So I'm going to do is from here, I'm going to remove these areas. You can see it looks a lot more better. Now as I've removed those parts, what I'm going to do is select on this area too, which is over here. You can see I don't need that area. What I'm going to do is click on this and take it over there and find a couple of more parts. You can see I need this part. I'm going to click on this plus and then select this area. I'm going to do zoom out. I'm going to zoom in back again over here. Okay, I'm going to get a perfect result from this photo. Zoom out and select on this area which I don't need. As I don't need this area, zoom out. And take it over here and select on this part which I don't need. Okay, I don't need this part because that is also the sky, but I'm gonna have a different type of background on this photo, so obviously I'm gonna remove these areas. Okay, looks a lot more better. So after you're done editing or copying the part, what you're going to do is go over to layers, click on add a mask. You can see it looks a lot more better and all the parts which you don't need has been removed. Next thing what we're going to do is going to be opening up a background. So from here, I'm going to go over to files. First I'm going to do is go over here and click on, let's say, this tool. Right click on it. I'm going to add in this polygon tool. Or maybe let's just create a rectangle tool. Okay. Keep it like this. What I'm going to do is open embedded, place embedded. And I'm going to do is go over to like wherever I have the background. I'm going to do is search for it. You can see I have a lot of files over here. So I'm going to do is use this one. I'm going to open it as embedded. I'm going to do is increase the size a bit more. Now, next thing what we're going to do is make it a clipping mask. Right click on it or go over to layers first. Right click. I'm going to do is convert it into a clipping mask. I can see it has been turned over here. I'm going to do is select on this area, increase it a bit more. You can see it looks like this. Press on Ctrl Z. Press on this part. Go over to layers, select on it. Click on this move. I'm going to keep it like this, which I can see from over here. Next thing what we're going to do is take this over there. Okay. So I'm going to take it over here, paste it. I'm going to press on Alt and then keep it over here. Keep it above. You can see this is how the car design will look like. You can see how it is. The next thing what we're going to do is going to be keeping or making some changes on this part too. I'm going to do is keep it around here. But the next thing what we're going to do is going to be cropping out this part. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to do is click on crop. What I'm going to do is select on this area. Keep it over here. Keep it over here. Now we have our perfect design. Press on OK. Now you have your design. Now I'm going to do is going to be zooming in. And you can use the whole thing. Let's say I'm going to right click on it. Click on each and every part. Right click and convert to smart object. Now as I have turned it into a smart object, I'm going to click on this move tool. I'm going to open up the t-shirt. Go over to file. Click on open. Let's say I'm going to paste it on a black shirt this time. So I'm going to do is, let's say this one. Now I have it. So I'm going to do is take it over there. Right click and paste it over there. Paste it. Press on OK. Now I have a result. I'm going to click on this selection tool or this copy or this crop tool. You can use it too for various purposes. But if you don't want that, I'm going to do is Control Z, press on this. I'm going to do is press on move. I'm going to do is paste it right over where I need it. Now you can see that I have my car design over here. So hope you understood about how you'll be able to do that. And if you want to blend it a bit more, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to take it over at the left side. Click on layers. What I'm going to do is select on these areas. Can see it looks a lot more better like this, a bit faded. Can see how it looks like. Press on OK. Zoom in and see how it looks like. If you want to add in more effect, just go over to layers, go to gradient option, and then make your own type of edit. So hope you understood everything about this part or everything about this lesson, and thank you for watching this video, and hope you understood everything again.